Hey everyone, today I want to talk about finances. How you can optimize finances when traveling or living abroad.
Sounds beautiful. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What questions have you got for me, Rufus?
Okay.
What from my world of wisdom can I give you today?
How long have you been traveling and working abroad and going on missions for?
Yeah, look, good question. I mean, when I was in London, obviously, it was about 5 years ago, I left London, something like that, I think, going on five plus years now. Obviously, when I was in London, I traveled not as much, but I traveled a bit.
Yeah.
But I was investing, obviously, in the UK and things like that, and working with the UK. So mostly traveling for pleasure, really. But when I moved to Norway, so obviously I was firstly, I moved to Norway. Then I started to travel from Norway. So Norway, like Oslo was my base, but I spent, to be honest, I spent for the first 2 years, I was traveling around Norway and then in the Nordics. But for the last couple of 3 years or so, I've pretty much been traveling honestly, every week. 2-3 days a week, I think, on average. So I would basically spend half the month outside of Oslo.
Wow.
For the last 3 years, to be honest. And then obviously in the last 7 months, I've lived in Barcelona for 4 months, and now I'm in Lisbon for 4 months actually as well. So, I've definitely been living kind of, in a Eurozone, traveling to different countries. So I've definitely made all the mistakes when it comes to finances, when traveling, spending different currencies, because a lot of people might not realize that actually Norway isn't the euro, even though it's part of the European Union and all that kind of stuff, as is Sweden, as is Denmark. Those three Nordic countries are kronas, right? So you have the Norwegian krona, the Swedish krona, SEK, NOK, and the Danish krona, the DKK, right? So, and the UK is obviously one of the only other countries in the Eurozone, well, not anymore, that has its own currency. So I've actually done a very bad job of this. I've only ever lived in all the countries that are in Europe that don't have the euro. So I've definitely made the mistakes on spending too much money on transfers and getting ripped off and things like that. So I know a thing or two about how to live and work in Europe and pay the least amount of financial obligations to transfer fees and things.
Okay, so you're probably the right guy to answer my problems.
I've made all the mistakes.
Okay, so I want to bring out one personal problem that I had. Because 3 years ago, I moved to Spain for work for a Spanish company. And they pay me a Spanish salary. But I have a lot of obligations in Norway as well, since...
Yeah, well, that's your home nation, and you moved from there, right? So you're probably paying what kind of obligations were you paying? Sort of healthcare or
healthcare, phone bills, and other bills that I've been having.
Normal things that everyone pays, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, just you haven't changed them to Spanish, right?
No, not at all. So I get this Spanish salary, and
in euros,
of course. And when I get this, I have to transfer money to my Norwegian bank account. And also, since I have a partner, we share food expenses and other expenses. And both of us are paid by the Spanish company. And we both bring it over to the Norwegian bank account because we have a shared card. So that goes to food and other stuff if we have to go to IKEA or whatever. So we're paying fees, not transfer fees, but the currency fee.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the exchange rate fee, basically.
From euros to Norwegian, and then we're spending it in Spain as well, and then it's euros again.
So you're basically paying double.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So do you have any solutions to fix that? How can I get out of that?
For sure. Just to clarify, so you get a euro salary in a Spanish bank account.
Yeah.
Right? You both have Spanish bank accounts.
Yes.
You have expenses in NOK, right? I have friends who have this kind of issue too, who live abroad and they have to pay, for example, their student loans in another country, so they have to transfer money back, and that's just annoying, obviously, and it just sucks a bit. But then, to add insult to injury, you're also then actually spending euros on your Norwegian card of the money you've transferred already from euros to NOK, and then you're spending euros from that NOK. Okay, yeah, dude, we can do so much better with this. All right, so firstly, I totally understand that, for example, I have a UK account too.
Yeah.
I have a Norwegian account. I recently actually set up an Estonian account, but that's another question. We'll talk about that another time. Anyway, that's about tax and things. Anyway. So, dude, I mean, we can do a lot better with this, and we can save money without spending money, which is a beautiful thing, so you're not gonna have to pay money to set anything up. So the number one thing is obviously so you're transferring money into your Norwegian account. Do you transfer all the euros, or do you on a monthly basis? Do you transfer your entire take home salary, or?
Not every single time, because I pay rent from the Spanish card straight to the landlord.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you could do just without having to set anything new up is like, well, anytime you ever spend euros, use your euro account, right? Because it's just quite honestly, like it makes no sense to like going and buying this coffee you bought for me. Thank you, Rufus, this morning. Did you use your Norwegian card or your
Spanish one?
You used your Spanish one. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I got excited. I was like, dude, it was a waste of money, man. Good. Use your Spanish account. Yeah. So definitely use your Spanish account. Anytime you have a euro transaction, and also like the bottom line is like, you get your salary in euros, and we're in Lisbon right now, and you're spending euros, and you mostly spend euros, right? So yeah, you should always keep your domicile currency like in the where you spend your money, because
I have one problem with that.
What's that?
Is that me and my girlfriend want to share expense for our food accounts. And to be honest, it's so much pain and so much cost to add an extra card from the Spanish bank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the cumbersome thing about old legacy banks, especially when you're dealing with countries or cities where you get banks where maybe they're not as advanced. Like they're on their way, I'm sure. I'm not saying the Spanish system is less advanced than any other, but it's just maybe especially when you're a foreign language speaker as well. I think maybe it's a little bit difficult because their customer care divisions aren't as natively English speaking and things like that, right? So I totally get that pain point, right? So the solution, Rufus, is a digital bank. A digital bank is the solution.
What is a digital bank?
What is a digital bank? Basically, they used to be called challenger banks. They were basically, they used to not be banks actually. Now actually they're all having to get banking licenses for compliance rules, which is a good thing because then there's like guarantees from governments and things like that. So basically a challenger bank or a digital bank, which are now actually banks, are things like Monzo, Revolut, Starling. There's a bunch of digital banks basically. I use Revolut, so I have my Revolut card here now. This is the beautiful thing about the digital banks, right? So I have the premium version, and I'll get more into like what's the benefit of not paying versus paying. But the example that you've just given me is that you have a partner, you have shared expenses, you live abroad, you earn different currencies, and you have a home nation with a bank account, things like that. So first and foremost, having a digital bank, the reason they exist is to solve the problems that the banking industry has created for decades, which is the fact that it's very offline, meaning that you have to go to a bank to do most things. Like, I mean, there's still like some banks that give you a checkbook when you sign up, which is just like crazy, right? Like who writes checks anymore, right? So digital banks evolved to solve the first biggest problem. We live in a world where people can work and travel. Yeah. We live in a world where people don't have to live in the same place that they work or get their salary from, especially right now and today with the fact that you can remote work and you can live. And what we're doing right now, like you've left Malaga where you were living for 3 years. I left Oslo. We're living in Lisbon right now. I was in Spain last year as well, right? And I'm earning a salary like you in a different currency. I have the opposite problem of you. I earn in Norwegian kroners. Yeah. So I'm spending euros right now, right? So I have the same kind of issue as well. And I used to obviously had a partner where we had shared expenses too. So the beauty of a digital bank is to stop us having to pay such large transaction fees when we exchange money. Okay. So that's the number one benefit of a digital bank. They were the first problem they were born to solve before they went down the route of like creating sexy consumer products, which allowed you to invest and manage money and all these types of things, was to manage the transfer fees of banks, because banks make their money on interest rates and rates on transactions. So that's how banks make their money, on transactional fees, right?
Yeah, that makes
processes.
sense.
So if you're going to be transferring money from different currencies, that's where the bank adds their fees, because they're doing that process for you. And that's totally understandable. Like that's the function that they exist for, to help you transfer from yen to NOK to euros to dollars, whatever it is, right? So first and foremost, these digital banks started out like TransferWise, one of the first players in the game. They replaced like Western Union, which is an old way to transfer money, right? Which is very offline. You'd go to like a secure depository in a location around the world, and they would take like anything from 5 to 20%. TransferWise comes into the market, how many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and says, hey, we're going to basically solve this fact that like people who live in a country and send money back home, are getting completely destroyed with transaction fees, which is super unfair. So they come in there and we're going to digitize the whole process, do that securely, right? So then you have companies like Revolut who come into the game, creating digital products where on your phone, with an app, you can actually transfer money between accounts and pay a lower fee, right? So that's the number one way that you should be transferring money between different accounts. So what you could do, for example, is you get a digital bank like Revolut, Monzo, whichever one you choose. You get your money into your, so I'm not saying closing the accounts, because you need to have your Euro account and you need to have your Norwegian one.
I do.
I mean, you don't, but you're from Norway.
Yeah.
You're probably going to go back in the future. Why close it?
No, that's true.
Unless it's costing you a lot of money or something like that, right? There's no reason. And it's like, as long as you don't have to, there's not too much admin with it, why not, right? You know, because then you're building credit if you have a credit card there too in those countries. And, you know, it's just future-proofing yourself. There's no reason not to have it, basically. Okay. So why not close it? You know, don't close it. So what I would do if I were you, first and foremost, is open up a digital bank, right? Now, the beautiful thing about digital banks is that for the most part, they're freemium services because they're technology companies, right? Like they're fintech companies. So firstly, they want to give as many services away for free as possible to make you want to pay for the premium services, right? Yeah. So what I would say to you is get a digital bank. Your salary, let's just do a hypothetical, just to make things easy. Just say, for argument's sake, you get 1,000 euros a month into that, you know, European account, right? That Spanish account, right? Just to make things simple. I'm sure it's lots more, but you get 1,000 euros in there, right? And you have, say, 50 euros of obligations into your Norwegian account every single month, right?
Yeah.
So you get a digital bank. Now, what you could do is you could transfer, say, like, you know, 200 euros into that digital bank, right? And what you would do then is, now the beautiful thing about a digital bank is that you can hold different currencies.
Okay.
Right. So you can actually, like on my Revolut, I can hold like all these different currencies basically. So when I pay euros into my Revolut account, it shows as euros. And if you were to pay, for example, Norwegian kroners from your Norwegian account into your Revolut, it would show as kroners. So it wouldn't immediately transfer that into a currency that you don't, you know, that you have to have. Because like if your Euro account, your Spanish account is euros.
Yeah.
If you transferred money from Norway into that account, it would immediately convert it into euros. You can't hold NOK in your European account. Vice versa, you can't hold euros in your Norwegian account. So like the example you've just said is, when you transfer euros to your Norwegian account to pay your Norwegian fees, it does the transfer. But then when you spend euros on that card, it's going to transfer again. So you're actually being charged anything from 2 to 5% on every transaction that you make for them to do the exchange, right? Whereas if you hold this middle account, euros can be put into there. When you spend euros through that Revolut card, you use euros. When you transfer money in NOK to that account, it stays as NOK in there, basically. So you have this middle account, basically, which you can use. And whether you use that as a transactional account or not, because you'll have a card for it, like I have my card here. So like this is it. Like I have my my Revolut account, euros, all these different things, Norwegian credit card, and then Norwegian normal card, right, as well. So what I would do in your example is get one of these accounts, try it out for a period of time, transfer euros into there, and then when you need to pay things in NOK, you will be charged the interbank rate, not the rate your bank charges, because there's no transaction from your banks now anymore, right? So this is why it works so well, because I've done a test as well. I tested this out, right? So because I wanted to see actually how much money am I saving. So I spent 100, I think I just actually took out 100 euros, but I spent 100 euros on my Norwegian card, right? Yeah. And I think it cost me, I forget exactly the amount. It cost me between 2 and 4% or whatever it cost me, right? And then I did the same transaction. I transferred on my Revolut account NOK to euros.
Yeah.
So I transferred 100 euros from Norwegian kroners to euros on my Revolut card, and it was exactly half the cost, basically. So I saved 1 to 2%. Yeah. Basically, I forget the exact figures, but I actually saved 1 to 2% on the same transaction, doing it through Revolut versus just doing it through my Norwegian account to euros.
That is crazy. Yeah. Because I had the other week, I went to buy flowers for my girlfriend, and
little plug there. Yeah. What a gent.
I went over and they didn't take card in the store, so I had to take out money, and I only wanted to take out 20 euros because I just needed some flowers. And ended up paying like 26 euros.
Yeah, there you go.
Like for the whole
But that was
thing.
on your Norwegian card.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's when you should 100% use your Euro card, right? Because there would have been like less transaction fees and things like that.
I only had the Norwegian card on me, so I had to do it. But I was like mind blown, and that made me think like, okay, I need to fix this solution.
Yeah.
But the solution of the whole thing is like the pain of like fixing up the old bank system, because I know to fix stuff in my Spanish account it's gonna take me at least 3 days.
I think there's a big difference here which people need to understand. And then there's often this like issue of financial illiteracy. Like most people, you might be included in this, and I was included in this, even though I have 2 finance degrees and all this kind of stuff, right? Like I'm not really that interested in this world. So like, I didn't pursue finance and things like that really. So financial illiteracy. People think banking and finance is all just like this. It's too much for me to understand. So they don't know. And like you, for example, for 3 years now, I've been paying 1% to 2% extra a year on all your transactions. In some cases, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
Because why? Because you felt, because it was, I'm not financially literate. So I'm just gonna, and this is actually just unfortunately the truth of the world that we live in. People just don't think.
Probably just ignorant for the information.
You think that you're ignorant, but the reality is the reason these digital banks were created is to end financial illiteracy, because all the issues that you've faced for decades that everyone has about having to go into a bank to set up an account, and you're in a foreign country and you need like notarization, and it's all like, it takes 5 weeks to do anything. You have to have an address, you have to have a residency, all these kinds of things. Digital banks, I literally downloaded the app for Revolut, right?
Yeah.
A bank, an account that I'm getting, and I literally had to take a photo of my like driver's license, and I did a few things here, and then literally I get almost an immediate response to say that your account has been set up. And then obviously I did the premium version, and my card arrived 24 hours later. 24 hours later. Now, so firstly, the reason digital banks exist is to solve all the problems that you've just told me about.
Yeah.
So yes, get a digital bank, because it is going to solve so many problems for you. It can't solve all the issues, and getting loans in there, you can't get mortgages through this kind of thing like that. But things are changing, and that is coming. Because there's a thing called banking the unbanked, which is a lot of people can't get bank accounts in some countries, because obviously they don't have a fixed address, they don't have all these things. A digital bank is meant to solve a lot of those problems, right? So now the issue of like getting a new card, for example, like if you did that in Spain, how hard is that it's going to be such a pain in the ass to get a new card, right? Like it's going to take 2 weeks or something like that. You have to wait, and right. Literally, if I lose my card, firstly, I can go into the app right now and I can freeze my card. I can go into the app and I can order a new card. I can go into the app and change my PIN in real time. If I feel like something's been changed or hindered, or I can freeze my card, I can do all these things in the app. So these digital banks are digital first. They don't have an office that you can go to and say, hi, I'm a customer of Revolut or Monzo or whatever, and like, so they are born to solve the problems that you've just given the example of, right? So they're not perfect yet, but they're getting there, because there's there's a bunch of them, and they're all competing to be better. And the only way they can be better is to offer consumers a better offering, right? So if I have an issue, I go into the app and I can write a complaint or whatever, and then they have a customer care division, which will most likely come back to me, if not in real time, because I have the premium version. And that's another reason to pay for the premium versions. I'll come to that in a minute about why you should pay for things premium or not. It's often about saving time for yourself down the line as well, right? Okay. But I can go into the app and I can basically split transactions and things like that. So to your point about you have a partner and you split bills, another reason to have a digital bank is if she has the same a digital bank as you, the free version, no problem. And you put your euro transactions through that, because you hold euros here. So there's no double transfer. There's no like euros to NOK and then back to euros. Okay. You have euros, you hold a euro account in here. You can have a Norwegian account and hold that on here too. Okay. And then you spend euros, and then every single time you do a transaction, like on Revolut, what I do, and I had that when I had a joint grouped bill with my partner, and I would buy these coffees this morning, and I would just drop it in there. Right. Okay. And then my partner would go and buy the groceries of 50 euros, and said the coffees cost me 5 euros, and she went and spent 50. Now the total grouped bill is 55, but I spent 5 and she spent 50, so I owe her money, right? Yeah. But if I go then spend 45 on dinner on that on the Revolut card, I drop it into the group bill, and now we're even. Yeah. And then the beauty is like, and so you don't have to do any math. You don't have to figure out who spent what. You also don't have to do it right now. I can later at the end of the month go through the transactions and go, oh yeah, that was a grouped bill. That was a house cost. That was a house cost. That was a house cost. And it works it out. And then she can immediately just pay you, like settle. So that's one beautiful thing, that it handles all those things that you can't do if you have 2 different accounts. Right? Yeah, that's true. So that's a beautiful thing. And then you still have your own account on Revolut or Monzo or Starling or whatever, but you can add group bill. I do this for my business transactions. I put everything through my Revolut now because it's so digitally easy. I can attach photos of it. All I do is I just take a photo of a receipt, or I can send an email to it with the transaction in a PDF, and I can attach that to the transaction. And then I have everything done like an accounting service effectively, right? And I know a lot of like the steps I've been thinking as well because I've not went into it, is like maybe a trust issue I remember when I was growing up that my mom was nervous doing transactions online, right? Like, you know, how has the world changed, right? Yeah. Banking is in the same place, if not there yet, or it's almost there. You know, so it is for the most part. Yeah, don't put your entire life savings maybe on there. Like, you should never have everything in one account anyway. You should diversify and split things up. But like, you know, you are going to be fine, and there is protection involved. And you know, don't let the bad job that traditional banks have done for transparency and for availability and all these types of things ruin the whole reason that digital banks were born, is to solve those problems. So actually that is the reason to go to digital banks and things like that. Yes, they're still fixing some problems and things like that, because they're still products and they're tech companies. But the bottom line is, like, a digital bank, their employees are developers and customer care agents and customer success managers, not old legacy systems, which are people just like making transactions and trying to make fees on transactions. They're charging you a monthly fee if you take the premium versions for a reason, because they want to offer you services. They want to build a customer base and offer them benefits that are better than the traditional banking services. But the best part is you can do everything in your hand right now in real time. Okay. So what I take away from this is that check out a digital bank. Mm-hmm. Start one with the free version and like test it out. Test it out. See how it goes. Whether you live abroad or not, having a digital, like a lot of my friends who live in London, work in London, or live in Berlin and work in Berlin, go away for a weekend with their girlfriend or partner or with friends or whatever. Yeah. And they have a digital card, a digital banking card, for the reason that it solves the currency issue. So first and foremost, if you are going abroad, you should get a digital card purely put the transactions for the weekend on there, because you're going to not pay the 1% to 2% extra that you're going to pay. So that weekend, if you're going to spend 100 euros or 500 euros, you're going to save 10 or 50 euros or more on that weekend. So you might as well, well, that's 10%. That's a bit much, but you know what I mean. You're going to pay, you're going to save money on that weekend, basically, which is a lunch or a dinner. And the bottom line is that like 1% to 2% to 3% you're going to save, maybe even more in the long run, is going to add up over time. So, and if you're living abroad and working abroad, then 100% get one, because it makes your life so much easier. You're going to save that money on the foreign transfers. Plus, they have a beautiful interface. Now, to add one level further, you can do grouped bills. So even if it's like not you, and you can also say you can send money to people, but find out what your other friends are using, because if you go on grouped holidays with your friends, they could all be on different ones, which is then not a great benefit. But if they're all on the same one, like Revolut or Monzo or Starling, then it makes things easier going forward. So find out which system your friends are on. Get one to recommend you. I'll do that for you, buddy, later. Thank you. Try out the free version for a week, a month, a year, or however long you need to be convinced that it's worth your time. Because the reason I pay for premium version versus normal version, now this is the reason that I'm going to say that, is that you get a lot of travel benefits. So like, for example, I get extra liability insurance when I'm traveling. I get an excess on rental cars, like up to 2,000 euros. So when you're renting a car, you have to tick these boxes, which end up costing you more money than it costs to rent the car for the insurance. But it's stupid not to be overinsured. Yeah. The card covers those types of things, right? Also, my laptop and other things, if I book the trip on the card, it covers those things too. Yeah. There's medical insurance up to 10 million euros. So there's a lot of benefits you get. Now, you might not reap the rewards of that immediately, but also, I think with the premium version, you get faster response time on any issues you have with customer care. So whilst I'm paying, say, 14 euros or something like that a month for this card, I get an unlimited amount on transactions. So that's why I put a lot more transactions on this card, because there's no limit. So I think it's like the usual limits are under like 800 or 1,000 euros a month. There's transaction free, as in like the exchange rate. Yep. But the second you start going over that, then you pay actually what other banks would pay. That's why I pay for the premium version. So now I put all my expenses through that card. Okay. Including business expenses, including accommodation, because I'm paying spot rate, interbank rate, exchange rates, as opposed to additional fees that other banks would charge. That's super nice, because then you have one spot to go to where you can see all your expenses, and it probably give you data on what you spend on as well. And that is going to save so much time. So it's so genius. Well, look, I mean, the bottom line is, this is not sponsored. Hey, Revolut, if you want to sponsor me, feel free. But the benefits of having this digital card is that now you can still have your Euro account and your Norwegian account, like Don't change that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you get this digital account, and it means that you're going to save money on transfers. And that's why I pay for the premium account, because obviously you get a benefit of not having to cap the amount of transfers you can make in a single month. I do business transactions through it as well. But I can also do investments through it. And I have started to do that actually, because if you have Euro account and a Norwegian account, like I have a Norwegian savings and investment account, and I don't have that for a Euro account. Now, if I want to transfer money back and forth, then I'm gonna have to, there's fees involved, right? So on this Revolut card, I can hold different currencies, and I can invest in dollars on this account too. I can have a savings account called a piggy bank, where it takes this percentage of my transactions per month, and I can invest that. And because I have a premium account, I also have a free number of transactions per month, investing transactions I can make, where I don't pay like a brokerage fee on that I can buy and sell from. So, and I can hold cryptocurrencies as well. So that's a beautiful thing. Like I don't have to hold a crypto account and all these other accounts. I just have this trading and investing account, both crypto and normal shares, on my Revolut, and I do everything through that. And it's just, and it just means that like I have everything in there. It's all monitors. I can set fees and budgets per month.
So it's like everything on one platform.
It's just everything in one platform, basically, which I think is really cool. And I still have my Norwegian account, and that's great. And I have my NOK there and things like that. But the benefit is I can make transactions on this card in any country, in any currency, and I'm not going to pay an extra fee for it. Even if it's a €5 coffee, I'm not going to pay an extra fee for that. And on bank withdrawals as well.
Okay. I think it's a lot of people in my position that is not aware of this technology, or they're just ignorant to read up on the technology like I have been. So thank you so much for all the information. I will definitely take the step, and I'm waiting for the referral.
Don't know.
And thank you so much for answering my issues with the banking.
No worries, man. I'm going to send you a recommendation right now. So I get something, you get something. But I'm curious, like, what does the referral say right now? If I can say refer a friend, let's have a look. What does it say? Referrals. Here we go. Invite your friends, earn 300 NOK for each referral. Amazing.
Thank you so much for watching. And I was wondering, if you're in my situation, please let us know in the comment. And what are you going to do to solve that problem? Is Revolut something you want to go on with? Or do you want to do other companies that Matt was mentioning? Please let us know, and see you next time.
See you in the next episode. Ciao.